Hi everyone. Hi. I just got done with the full day of seeing kiddos and students in Colorado online. I have continued to provide speech and language therapy and learning behavioral therapy to students all over the world, and I get the honor and privilege of working with some students in the school in Colorado right now. And one of the students today, I had this really lovely moment with them, and it actually came from the awareness that I got to read them a little bit of the book, Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? And I did a book club recently with Carla Johnston Crace. We already finished the book club. It was amazing what showed up. Y'all might have seen the other videos on it. Good morning, Adele. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Carmel. And when we were in the book club, one of the things that we would do sometimes, we would just say, hey, let's open the book in a page and see what it tells us. And a lot of times, actually every time, funny enough, one of the participants would open up to a page in the book. It was exactly what they needed to hear. It was exactly what was required to shift something in them. It was the words that was relevant to something that was going on in their lives, something that was, that they needed to get some more clarity, some more ease with, that maybe something that they'd been struggling with for a little bit. Good morning for some, good evening for others. Awesome. And I just love that. I love that there's certain books for you, and maybe for me, it's not even just books. I do this with books. I'll go to certain places like art museums, and I'm just like, what is going to contribute to me right now? What is something that I need to look at? And universe, show me. And then I'll go and I'll see a certain piece, and it resonates so much with exactly what's going on in my life in that moment. And so there's so many different types of artworks and life forms that can do that can contribute to you in that way. Sometimes, you get in your car and you're having a certain headspace that maybe it's not exactly where you want to be, and then you turn on the radio and you're like, ooh, that song is like, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. Or it kind of shifts your space so that you're smiling again, or it helps you remember somebody that you were just thinking about. I can't tell you how many times I've gone in the car and the radio and I'm thinking about a certain family member or somebody that has passed away, and the song that I would sing with them or that I connect with them plays. And it's like, wow, yeah, how cool is that? So I was speaking with this student who is in middle school and has been going through a really rough time. And I don't know about y'all, but middle school was so difficult for me. In 7th grade, I came home crying almost every single day. There was bullying, there was so much anxiety and depression, there was so much pressure on myself to be perfect and to do everything right. Yes, exactly. Totally congruent with your ask. Like sometimes you ask something like, oh, please let me have this show up. And then it does. And you're like, yay. Thank you for having my back, universe. Thank you for supporting me through this time. And I love those moments. And one of the things that I did before walking into this session, starting the session with the student, is I was very aware that he's been having a really hard time, that he's been getting bullied a lot, that he has been really sad, especially compared to when I first started seeing him. It would be like one of those smiles with the little cheeks like this that you just want to like kind of squeeze the cheeks, and they're so cute and so vibrant and just lights up the room and whatever space he was in. And every time he would smile, I would just be like, yay! Like it would make me want to smile. And more lately, he hadn't been smiling so much. And we'd had a meeting recently about some of our concerns with him, with the whole team and the whole special education team in his school. And hi, Lorene. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hi, Siris. And one of the things that showed up from that was for us to actually start collaborating and communicating with him with him and about him in a different way. For him to know that there were people out there that would notice if he was gone or not, that would notice if when he does smile or when when his mood's different, things like that. He kind of is always surprised when people even say hi to him in the hallway, even people that see him every single day. He just kind of goes into his own world a lot. And he speaks a lot about killing himself, about running away, about really not being seen, the bullying, all these different things. And we're hearing him. And I just got the awareness to open up this book, this Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree book that I mentioned, and open up to a page and see what would contribute to him. And so the page that I turned to first was talking about the following. And I'm just going to read this little bit for you. It's called Picking Up Other People's Thoughts, Feelings, and Emotions. It's on chapter 8. So what if you are far more aware than you give yourself credit for? In the psychological community, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is defined as an anxiety disorder in which the person has unwanted and repeated thoughts, feelings, ideas, sensations, called obsessions, or behaviors that make him or her feel driven to do certain things, called compulsions. It is believed that the person carries out the behaviors to get rid of the obsessive thoughts, but the behavior often provides temporary relief. Not performing the obsessive rituals can cause great anxiety. I did not know that that was what the page was going to be about. I just went, let's open it up and see. And he was like, okay, I'll listen. I was like, is it okay if I read a little bit about this from this book to you? And he's like, okay. He's open. He was kind of like low affect, not really showing a lot of emotions. I was like, he's open to it. So there seems to be some truth to these observations. But in our work with people who have OCD, we have discovered something interesting. Before I get into what they discovered, maybe some of y'all know some people that have OCD or have been diagnosed with this, or maybe you feel like for you, you have some OCD-like tendencies, some obsessive compulsive tendencies. So what else is possible? So we have discovered something interesting. The thoughts, feelings, and emotions these people have are not actually theirs. They're picking up the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, as well as the sex and no sex of everyone else within 8 to 8,000 miles around them. And this student's eyes just went like this, like that. And at first I was like, is it just because I said the word sex, no sex to a middle schooler? And then I was like, and I got this heaviness. It's like, okay, no, that's not it. Let's see. So I was like, just looked up and I was like, would you like me to continue? And he was like, yeah, let's keep reading. So I was like, okay, I'll keep reading. You're probably pretty clear about what thoughts, feelings, and emotions are, but you may not be familiar with the idea of sex and no sex. When we say sex and no sex, we're not referring to copulation. We chose these words as they bring up the energy of receiving and not receiving better than anything else we found. People use their points of view about sex and no sex as a way of limiting their receiving. So I paused again with this student and I was just like, hey, do you know anybody who is picking up on a lot of people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions? And he was just like quiet and he was just nodding his head. And I was like, okay. Do you know of anybody that does certain acts over and over again, that does certain behaviors over and over again? And he would nodded his head again. And I was like, so who are you thinking about? And he said, me. But really softly, so not nearly as loudly as I'm saying it right now. And I was like, huh, and do you get some relief from that? What shows up for you when you're doing those things over and over and over again? And he was just quiet. I was like, okay, would you like me to read some more? And he nodded yes. So I did. Sex and no sex are exclusionary universes, either/or universes, where you either make your presence known, sex, to the exclusion of everyone else, or you hide your presence, no sex, so that you cannot be seen. In either case, given the focus on yourself, you don't allow yourself to receive from anyone or anything. And then I remembered how the student, when he's in the hallways, and I don't get to see him in the hallways because I'm seeing him online, but the other staff members were saying that he's always looking down. He kind of goes into his own world. He's not choosing to receive, to be seen. And I wondered how much of that was because if he's picking up on everyone's thoughts, feelings, and emotions around him. And so he wants to kind of shut it out. Let's see. So then Dane, one of the authors of the book, Dr. Dane here, said, imagine picking up every thought, feeling, and emotion, sex and no sex, from everybody within an 8-mile radius. Would that give you lots of feelings, thoughts, and emotions? Yeah. And then Gary Douglas, the other author of the book, said, would that tend to overload your system? Yeah. And that's how it feels to people who have OCD. And then Dr. Dane says, when the system is overloaded like that, doing an action repetitively, like putting something in place or washing your hands, offers some relief. It's the one time you are focused enough on one thing to be able to shut out the awareness of all the information that's coming at you. And for me, that is so relevant to me, and this student's eyes just kept being like, whoa. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Betty. Hi, Clark. Hi, Melania. You could tell it obviously resonated in his life. And I was like, so are you picking up on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions? And he was just like, no, I'm not. And I was like, okay. So when you're feeling sad, and we talked about this before, when you're feeling sad, are you being you? And he was like, no, I'm not being me. And I was like, well, okay, so you get that you're not being you when you're sad, and when you're feeling kind of like weighed down and you're hunching your shoulders, that's not actually you being you. You know that you're this shining light in the world, that you are usually, that can be very happy. So what is that? And he was just kind of sitting there taking it in, Hi, Sada. And so then I asked him, I was like, what is one of the things, again, I asked him, what's one of the things that you do over and over again that kind of give you some relief from all of these awareness that you have? And he said, oh, I say things over and over again. I say certain things over and over again. And I was like, all right. What if you could actually have that relief more than just those moments of saying things over and over again, so you can actually be more present and receive from other people? Would you like that? And he just kind of quietly nodded a little bit, and I was like, okay. And so we talked about a little bit more things, and then I was like, hey, so would you like to pick a page from the book for you, whatever awareness you get? What is the number that comes to mind? And he's like, yeah, I'd like that. And he picked page 10. And it was so on point. It was exactly, I love when you pick it for you. Like when I would pick something for me, I was like, that actually seemed to be more the first part for me, and me knowing and acknowledging that he was picking up on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. He wasn't ready yet to acknowledge that to the extent of how aware he is, and that's okay. But there was a little bit of a peek into that reality, into what was true for him in that moment. And then he picked page 10. And page 10 is the beginning of chapter 3, which is titled, What If Your Children Are Perfect? What if your children are perfect, even if they have ADHD, OCD, ADD, autism, or something else going on? This is asked by Dr. Dane here. And then Gary Douglas says, Dane and I have had the opportunity to work with some children who have been labeled with these so-called disabilities. Initially, we tried to deal with these conditions from the point of view that something was wrong with the kids, and we tried to figure out how we could handle their disability. However, in the process of working with a number of great kids, we've seen that they have many abilities, talents, and gifts that go unrecognized by teachers, parents, and people in the medical and psychological community. I mean, how many of us that was the case for, where we were told in schools or by family members, people that were supposedly having our back, that they were doing the best they could maybe to support us, to nurture us, to teach us, to help us grow and evolve and develop, that there was something wrong with us, that there was something that needed to be fixed, that there was something that they needed to help you with. Okay, and that's what this child, this student, was being told all the time. He's always being told that something's wrong with him, that he needs to change, that he's not behaving correctly, that he's not learning as quickly as he should be learning, things like that, that he's behind and delayed. And these are the kids that I work with all the time. So continuing on that page, people tend to function from the point of view that there is something wrong with these children because they don't learn the way the rest of us do. The reality is that they pick things up in a totally different manner. And we need to step up and find out how they learn, not try to teach them using methods that might have worked for us, but definitely don't work for them. We would like to re-reference the point of view that they are quote-unquote special needs children. They are actually special talents children. At this point, the student's eyes kind of lit up a little bit, and he kind of perked up a little bit. He didn't smile quite yet, but he kind of was like, what was that? Special talents? What? We call them X-Men, after the Marvel comic superhero team, composed of mutants with an X gene who use their extra powers and abilities for the benefit of humanity. For us, it's a term of affection. The X-Men are here with us on the planet to make waves. They are a mutation that is an expansion of the species, but they are being looked at as though they are a limitation. We don't believe that is true. We would like to unlock the abilities these kids have because it is our perception that if they were given the opportunity, they might be able to change many of the things on our planet that will turn into disasters in the future. We ask that you don't see your kids as wrong, no matter what they've been labeled. Look at your kids, not from the wrongness of them, but from the rightness of them. When you do this, you can create a completely different world for yourself, for them, and for everyone on the planet. We hope you will see that you have an extraordinary opportunity to create a more conscious world. You can create a place in which people begin to see the ability and the greatness these kids are. I can't tell you how many times I've read that page, and it was so funny that he picked up on it and he picked that number page for me to read. And after I read that, he smiled for the first time in the entire session. And I reiterated, I was like, there's nothing wrong with you. No matter what anyone says, anything that you're aware of, anybody's thoughts and feelings and emotions about their life or about you, there is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to fix. Okay? And he just was like, and then we went on and read some stories and worked on his speech and language. And one of the things that I got, it's not just the kids. What if we actually didn't see ourselves as wrong in any way? How much of us have bought that other people's points of views about us being wrong in some way, that we need to be fixed, that we need to be saved, that there's something broken about us, that we are behind, that we are limited in some way? What if that actually wasn't true? What if that actually was one of the biggest lies that you have ever bought from others? I wonder what you would actually choose. It was so beautiful to see, just reading a few pages from this wonderful book, and I can put the link, I'll put the link to the book in the chat here if you'd like, that I clearly got him picking up on and being aware that all these people were trying to fix him and help him was actually crippling him and making him sadder and making him believe that of himself, that there was something wrong, that there is something, a problem to be fixed or solved. And one of the things I'd love to invite all of y'all to is to not buy any of that as true for you, to not believe that there's anything wrong with you. There isn't. But as soon as you believe that, what does that create for you? What has it already created for you for you to judge yourself in any way? For you to think that there's something that needs to be changed or fixed or saved about you. It was such a gift to me to see that shift in him. And it invited me to make myself a little less wrong, to judge myself a little bit less. When you're working with these kids and you sometimes don't see the progress in the same way that you would with another student or with how you would like them to progress, you very quickly start to think about, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not as good of a therapist or teacher as I could be. What am I missing here? And it was one of these moments where I was like, this is exactly what he needed to hear. I'm so glad I followed my awareness, even though it was something crazy and kooky and weird. And he totally was grateful. He was so grateful. He started actually being more and more himself. And I asked him, I told him, I was like, if at any point you want me to read from this book again in the future, you just let me know. He was like, okay. So maybe he'll let me know. If there's any other time in the future that y'all would like me to read from that book again or any other book, let me know. I thought this was a really lovely moment and a really wonderful reminder to invite all of us, but maybe just me, maybe not anyone else, to judge ourselves less. Because I don't know about y'all, but it's really easy to do that sometimes. And that's one of the targets that I've been really looking at more and more and more is, oh, I could be judging myself for that. Let's not do that. What else could I choose instead? What else can I choose instead? What else can I create instead and be instead? So that's it. That's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Carmel, for listening and watching. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.